Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the three-time world champion, the Zerg in the red, the finisher. It's Serral, facing off against the fastest player in the game, his teammate, and his greatest enemy, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor, in a best-of-5 all-Zerg showdown between the top two Zerg players in the entire world. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what do we have? 1,712 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I can do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As the knife fight in a phone booth begins. Zerg versus Zerg. The most intense, high-speed matchup in the game. The simple fact is, your opponent will have most of the information. The Overlords, not the most agile creatures, but very effective since there is no anti-air, but a few knitting needles from the Queens early on. So the Overlords will see when you're expanding, when you're sending out Zerglings. So Zerg versus Zerg becomes less about hiding information, but instead about showing misinformation. And between these two, who've probably played more than any other top-tier Zergs in the world, the amount of mental mind games going on behind the scenes, as I know for a fact they practice on a regular basis. I mean, they're teammates, so you would think they help each other out. But today, only one can be helped. And historically, Reynor has been Serral's probably greatest Achilles heel. Clem, his greatest rival. But hitting Reynor at an awkward time in the bracket has been the end or change in Serral's tournaments many, many times over. Pretty much the last decade at this point. As Reynor is simply too fast. It doesn't matter if Serral is 2 steps ahead of you if Reynor's already lapped the field. So the first couple Zerglings from Serral, and also the Queen. What? And it pushes the Overlord away. Of course, there's a second backup there. And when the Overlords are pushed away, the Zerglings with speed will fill in the gaps in information. We've already got speed nearly completed. The Baneling Nest halfway there. Both sides walling off so they can potentially complete a full wall at the natural. And now the duel begins. A dozen Zerglings for Reynor, slightly less for Serral. The waves of drones and Zerglings kind of alternating. If one player smells an opportunity, that opportunity usually smells like getting a big Baneling hit, so probably a bit acrid, but I don't think either player will commit to the all-in Ling Bang. Simply at this level, they're too good. No one's going to take a Baneling hit for 12 kills on the Zerglings, but they're used for zoning out, and if you don't build the Zerglings, you could get caught way too far off guard. And that's why we have this sort of flirtatious phase of will they, won't they, with Lings and Banes. A Roach Warren is on the way for both sides. Reynor's building it at the front where it can be easily scouted. Serral at the very back of the natural where he's successfully blocking out the Zerglings. Both players at exactly 39 drones so far, despite the dancing, ending up in pretty much the same position. Lair is on the way for Reynor. The Zergling boxed out. I bet Serral will use the Banelings to kill Zerglings if needed. Alright, that's the last line of defense of the important information that he is going for roaches. Plus, potentially +1 attack as an evolution chamber. Serral actively trying to hide this information from Reynor. All he's seen is a Bane Nest and the drone count, whereas Serral on the other hand sees the Roach Warren, but he hasn't been able to get his Zergling into the main. Both players continually darting in with the Lings and continually getting shut down. The drone counts are still dead even. Reynor will have an advantage potentially in the Roach speed timing if he goes that direction. The Zergling got in the main. A single Ling. Sometimes all that's needed. And that information is critically important. He gets in and he sees that Serral's sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Serral's lair was not done and he's going for +1 ranged attack. So Serral's going for a stronger ground army, but he's invested more in that ground army. Meanwhile, Reynor has now split from the baseline here and is going for mutas. A bit of a mutalisk. The mutalisk, but in this exact scenario, he got exactly the information he needed. He knows that Serral is going to be a little bit slower on being able to come across the map. Wow, Serral sensed a disturbance in the tech. He sees the gases here. The queens are able to zone out the overseers, but he sees the gases, and I think he's highly suspicious that Reynor's going for mutas. He's pulling the overlords back. He's getting overlord speed. It looks like Serral wants to ferry the queens around in a sort of German taxi build, and against smaller amounts of mutas, it could either turn into a creep highway or just... We've seen Serral go for the proxy spore crawlers before as well. Not that we see much of this matchup, but... The roaches boxing out 5 mutas. There's the chauffeur lord. As the queens should be gathering, but 10 mutas on the way. More than enough to overwhelm any sort of royal expedition. Been a remarkably passive game, but I'm not surprised to see that from the two most well-known Zergs. And hey, that's a roach drop instead. He's gonna get in. 2 overseers will now confirm what he already highly suspected. Sarah's gonna be going for burrow move behind it. This roach drop, it's definitely, yeah, he just backs it off. Reynor spotted it, definitely suspecting queens, but now the overlords, these survivors on the other side, are gonna be exterminated. And suddenly the map will be very dark for Serral, as the overlords get cleared off the map, and he's reliant on whatever Zerglings can slip by. Whereas Reynor, on the other hand, it's not too much better, but with the mutas and the overlords still going, it's a lot easier to keep track of what Serral's up to. The dueling still continues. The units out on the map being taken out. Reynor fully committing to the mutalisk. He's got +1 flyer attack on the way. He's got +1 melee on the ground and is getting Baneling speed. Mutaling Bane against Zerg. Zergling, oh, the Baneling manually triggered. But too early, and the queen gonna be targeted. The +1 lings, very good at sniping things off, and also the 4th base. It shouldn't be enough so far, but doing anything to Serral's economy, keeping him back. Well, the muta count builds up. Burrow move roaches are completed. Burrow for the hydras as well. Not as agile underground, but gonna make life difficult. Serral using what tools he has, and he has a supply lead, though that's a bit misleading with the sort of unit composition that he currently has on the field. The muta count up to 22. Serral's roaches slipping by. He's got a few in the main base as well. The mutas are fighting outright. The queens and the hydras. Not enough. The mutas overwhelming them, able to reposition so quickly. And most of the anti-air will be cut down. But the roaches on the other side, only contested by the Zerglings. The mutas will have to fly back home before they can press their advantage. The roaches in the main not actually working on the drones yet. Kind of surprising. A missed opportunity there. Another roach at the 3rd base. Meanwhile, the roaches unburrow in the main. Gonna take out one of the queens. Overseers overhead. Eventually, these roaches will be cleaned up. But he bought Serral the most valuable resource. Time. So far, the drone count still remains even, neither side able to take out one of these bases. Roaches burrowing away, really living up to their name. Changelings from Serral potentially blocking any Zergling. Well, I don't think he's going to be able to block Zerglings. The roaches stuck in the corner. Don't think Reynor noticed it. Even a single roach can be infinitely annoying. The muta count up to 24, 18 hydras. And honestly, we see this interaction so rarely. I'm not sure what the hydra count needs to be. He has 2-1 upgrades against just +1 flyer, but I feel like you got to be about equal to the muta count, because the mutas can stack up and pick away parts of it. The infestor goes down without anything cast. The roach in the main will eventually be cleaned. Well, the overseer not fast enough to chase it. Another infestor throws it out onto the banes. The mutas will easily finish off the hatchery, and Serral's knocked down to 3 bases, whereas Reynor maintains 4. And honestly, the larva count arguably as important, if not more so, than the economy at this stage. This roach has 10, 11 kills, may eventually get cleaned up, regenning as it slides into the corner. Reynor does not have roach overseer speed, nor roach speed, technically. But that spore crawler off of creep, targeted down with ease, as the murder of mutas now. He desperately needs... Serral does not have a hive for vipers. He does not have an easy way to take out the mutaflock. Fungal is helpful, but in and of itself, it doesn't do that much damage. The banelings rolling by. Creep doesn't discriminate, so they speed up as they close it on the drones. only ends up getting 2 of them. Still, continued burrowed roaches on the other side. The mutas flocking around. He's got 29 mutalisks, 18 hydras, 3 infestors. This could actually be a use case for current-day Microbial Shroud, which reduces damage from air attacks against ground by 50%. This is not the new patch, but this might actually be the case for it. Though fungaling the mutas is probably significantly more important. The mutas gathering. The banelings being added on. Reynor has maintained the economy for the most part, but it's been... like, the y-axis is not too crazy here. Serral forced the pull away with the first roaches, but now Reynor's been continually harrying him with the mutas. Lurker dead on the way, as well as a hive. Very important for Reynor to get some damage done before any vipers or lurkers are on the field, and here come the mutas. Fungal's thrown out, catches most of the banelings, minimizes the damage, but more from the north side. Just whipping them out. Microbial Shroud in order to help deal with the mutas. The roach count is now swelling dramatically. Another Microbial Shroud. And the hydras are not enough. The mutas will overwhelm them. But they cut down enough of the mutalisks that the roaches are an existential threat on the other side of the map. The Zergling counterattack. The mutas come back to defend. The Zerglings go forward to attack. And there's not that much back home to defend. +1 melee is still the total of upgrades. A dozen more mutas in production. The roaches slipping through the 4th base under attack. Zerglings taking out 15 of Serral's drones before he's able to muster the reinforcements to deal with it. The counterattack hits the queen and the drones of the natural, and Serral's attack is slower moving, but almost as effective. Reynor, though, grabs a significant supply lead. Serral has been unable to rebuild as many drones, and a lot of those drones have had to stretch themselves into spore crawlers in order to deal with the mutalisks. These are just changelings back here. 18 drones dead, but Reynor restabilizes with a 20 supply lead. But Serral has once again bought himself enough time to go for a hive. A viper, a single viper in production. Serral, a rare thing, but strapped for resources to the absolute limit. There's still 34 mutas in the sky as Reynor continues to be a menace to everything nearby. The main base, a couple spores. There's not enough. Parasitic Bomb is the only choice here. Fungal and Parasitic Bomb could be enough to wipe out most of the flock. Meanwhile, I keep getting distracted by those changelings. The Viper, if the Viper gets sniped, needs 125 energy for Parabomb. It's almost there, reconsuming. The spores, 21. Oh no, we gotta go back. What happened? It wasn't the main. Meanwhile, the 3rd! Oh no! The main base suffered some losses, but Reynor actually had so many banelings that they were left over. 23. Oh, but the wombo combo! Parasitic Bomb! Fungal across the board! Muta's dying by the dozen! It's a massacre on both sides! He got everything he needed, but he got it too late! Serral's still suffering critical damage to the counterattacks and direct attacks. The mutas on the other flock still down to 17. Serral's down to 27 drones. A desperate economy at this stage. The mutas in the main, the survivors, are healing rather quickly. A couple more ping cushioned by the queens and the hydralisks alike, but unable to chase them down as they're still terrestrially bound. 30 more drones dead. And Reynor, for a few moments, will be vulnerable. This is it, Serral. He's got one opportunity. He's got one shot to turn this back. He has the army supply, 94 to 72. He still has 3 infestors. The muta count is no longer a critical mass. Some roaches burrowing by, continuing to chip at the economy. But Serral, I'm sure he recognizes the losses he suffered. But 5 drones here and there is not going to be enough to stop Reynor's momentum. The Zerglings now using Burrow as well. In the corners, Reynor using every tool Not even a mere Roach Hydra Infestor versus Mutaling Bane. Almost a complete split in the units. The full Zerg, and the Zerglings just getting everywhere. 13 more drones. Serral has barely more than he started with. A desperate scenario for the finisher. Reynor has once again outmaneuvered him. There's a single lurker. Banelings, awkward. There's literally nothing for them to hit. No more drones left. And Serral's running out of real estate. He's maintained his bases. Well, he has 2 Vipers, 3 Infestors, 14 Hydras, and a Dream. This army needs to get the damage done. But he comes back to deal with the mutalisk. He takes 1 step forward. He has to take 2 steps back. The Vipers. He knows he has to land the fungal at the same time. Reynor will split the mutas too quick. Parasitic Bomb won't be enough. Banelings coming in. The Lurker trying its best. Its best is not good enough. Meanwhile, the Hive under fire. The last few... Oh no, the Hive is dead. Serral's down to 12 drowns. The spawning pool. But the Roaches on the other side. This could turn it... And technically, in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. And both players are capable of doing that. If the mutas die, Serral's army, the fungal, parabomb, not enough. Still good. Quarantines one of the mutas. Meanwhile, the Roaches, Reynor's economy is being cut down, but Serral is already near the dirt. The drone count dwindling. He's burrowing the drones to counter the burrowed Roaches. And the muta count is still too damn at 39 mutas and almost nothing else. The mutas making up the majority of the supply now, but Serral's going into a full base trade. A last desperate attempt. There's 3 spores. I don't think that's enough, even with just +1 fire. If he had something back here, but he's just gonna fight it out, right? The Vipers almost died to the spores. They may a few mutas come out, pick off one of the irreplaceable Vipers. Serral's going into the main, the heart of the swarm. He's gonna take out the Spire. But how many buildings? Serral does not have enough to rebuild a hatchery. It's a straight-up base trade. And mutas are uniquely suited to it. Serral's gonna be revealed after this hatchery's taken down. He is on a very short timer now. He needs to kill the mutas, but he just can't. The mutas are too strong. Reynor, in a heads-up fight, might lose. But Serral has not rebuilt his base. And Serral is being revealed. It's hard to tell on the minimap, but Reynor's starting to realize the structures can... Well, Reynor doesn't have that much himself. He's got a few extractors, but Serral's buildings are dwindling much more quickly. How has it come to this? He can build an extractor on this side. He's waiting for the last possible moment to do so. But Reynor has enough to rebuild another hatchery. Serral's fighting with everything. He's trying to wait till the last second so Reynor can't react, but he's literally about to be eliminated from the game. There's 1 extractor. He needs to build another one. That's the last one. He takes out the lurkers. What, Serral? Serral is so patient. That's madness. He's building 1 more. The drones will spot the other one. Reynor is down to 1 bit. Wait, what? Oh my god. That's Reynor's last building. He has no buildings in the structures tab. There's only 2. But he can fight the Hydras. That's it. He doesn't know about the hatch. And what he doesn't know can lose him the entire game. GG! With no structures completed, despite being cut across the board, Serral drags it to literally the last building in the game. Every single hatchery, every single tech building completely cut down. Serral taps out. Why? Because he has not enough. There's still 40 mutas, and there's only 10 Hydras and 6 Roaches. Eventually, it came down to the army being too strong. Reynor can keep 20 mutas to defend his hatch, and he can still build more extractors. And he can move 20 mutas to destroy the last extractors. But Serral, even when he's not able to go the distance, he drags it. It could not have been any closer. I guess it could have been an extractor for Reynor, but he somehow manages to hold on to that fraction of a chance to turn it around. Reynor, to his credit, kept it together and locked it down. Mutas, well known for their mobility and their fragility, but keeping even only once really suffering that critical wombo combo fungal parasitic bomb sort of damage. But again, Reynor able to outmaneuver the world champion and take home a victory and bring him that much closer to being in the top 4 of the Maestros of the Game playoffs. If you're watching this the day of, thank you. Like and subscribe. And tomorrow, September 27th of 2025, it's fine. I turned the camera. Okay, apparently Serral played these matches at his summer house. The cabin is not cutting it. I'm on mobile internet. Yes, apparently he played these matches. You can read into this how you'd like. He played these matches at his summer house with his phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So both playing the game and streaming his webcam was lagging him. So he had to turn off his webcam, unfortunately. Reynor, of course, knows the situation and is the cabin is not cutting it. Yeah. But the Maestros of the Game playoffs, September 27th, 2025, tomorrow, if you're watching this in the first few hours. And make sure to check out Comeback TV on Twitch and YouTube, the French organization, and all the highlights afterwards. If you're not able to catch it live or you want another look, well, you'll see. All right. I have it on good authority that both these players have a very good shot of being there. So, but this is the winner's bracket finals. The winner of this is guaranteed a spot. The loser will face Hero, I believe, on the lower bracket. Reynor just... How did it get so close? It felt... Reynor was running away with it. He was flying away with it. But the mutas... Ever their greatest concern. They can't take a straight-up fight. Now, here's what the endgame looks like for Reynor. If Serral doesn't continually cut down his economy, eventually, Reynor just gets lurkers himself. So that way, there's no chance of Roach Hydra running him over. Like... Mutas give you so much map control, so much economy. But Serral did such a good job of working with the few tools he had, but the mutas were eventually too much. Also, those Zergling and Baneling counters. That 15-20 Baneling kill at the third really undercut any effort Serral was making at turning it around. Well... The Zergling. Hey! Brenda! Where are you go? Do you see these Zerglings? These ankle bite. Remember when we could fly, Susan? Brenda, we haven't been able to fly since the war. When was the war? Was it 4 years ago or was it like 20? I can't even remember yesterday, to be honest. At this point, we're getting old, aren't we? Speak for yourself. You were born first. Sorry, backed out for a moment. Serral, I'm not gonna go so far. Oh wait, that's a Bane Nest. He's hiding the Bane Nest. Whereas Reynor has the Roach Warren also being hidden. He shows the Bane Nest. Another example of the poker game that happens so regularly in this matchup. One building. And Serral with the drones of steel. Waiting till the last second to build those extractors. It could very well happen again. That was such a good personality showcase as well, with Serral going for the defense with measured counterattacks, and Reynor with the fastest, most harass-oriented unit in the game. But now, enough about that. And some more about this. A whole bunch of roaches on the way across. Reynor is all in. He's got 24 drones. Serral has 44. Serral getting caught completely off guard. Blindsided, bamboozled, led astray. And, it just kind of ends. Reynor with an overwhelming game-winning amount of roaches. He successfully bamboozled Serral to the point that there's no chance. Reynor has 15 roaches to what's about to be 3. He has a bunch of Zerglings streaming across the map. Serral clearly not anticipating it, not able to get the info. And sometimes, for every epic base trade crazy game, there's another, oh no. And just like that, Reynor's on match point. It wouldn't be a total shock for Reynor to take the series, though I think it would be quite a shock for a 3-0. As Reynor and Clem, the two players with Clem with a winning record and Reynor close to it over the last couple of years. No one else comes close. Now, feels like we barely got started with the intro, and now we're already on the next one. But sometimes, through all the fire and fury, you gotta slow down a bit. That was just one of those build order wins. If Serral had snuck a Zergling by in time, or just guessed at it, maybe he defends, but Serral went the other way. He went for the eco cheese of just building the drones and kind of gambling that Reynor wasn't going for something of that magnitude. And sometimes when you gamble, you lose. Like and subscribe for more gambling advice. No, Jimmy, we have to edit that out. I'm sure Reynor not unhappy to steal one away. Double Queen. Really, the hatch first. Simply the economies and Legacy of the Void, which is now over 10 years old, but Legacy of the Void's so high early on that expanding is almost always the default. It's very all-in to go for anything but an early expansion. Now, a third base is a bit more questionable in ZVZ, though still very common. Already the Zerglings nibbling on it. Serral building a couple more lanes early, whereas Reynor more focused on the drones. And so the dance begins. More Zerglings. And it just comes down, it's why Ling Bane is so common on the ladder and lower levels, but less common at the highest, is just, once again, the players are so good. They respect each other so much that it's too much of an economic risk to go all in on Lings and Banes. But you have to at least pretend. Otherwise, you'll be caught if they completely commit. Now, Reynor showing an evolution chamber But hiding the Bane Nest is an interesting... He's getting +1 ranged attack as well, so clearly anticipating. The Zerglings trying to get in, but stop right there, criminal scum. Zerglings put down by the queens and lings themselves. Not getting that info. Serral clearly, he's sending like half a dozen lings so far to try to figure out what's going on back there. And so far has not had the queen comes up. Sees a drone transferring, but Serral very much in the dark about this one. One of the best Zerg players of all time. Come back to us. No lair on the way for either side. It takes solo. The lair, not a high priority because roach speed is a huge deal, but between building a lair and getting roach speed, that's a big investment, especially of gas, in a low economy situation. Serral's building a wave of roaches. Reynor has already built a lot of Zerglings. Serral is not getting +1 attack, very notably. Continually trying to get the info. It's a fake! Reynor has put 12 drones on his third base. He only has 10 drones on his natural. He is clearly trying to send... He's doing this... Reynor's doing the same thing. I mean, Serral's doing the same thing. He's clearly trying to send that misinformation. Like, I'm really droning hard right now. Except Serral seems to be trying to exploit that. He's gonna do a roach timing. Reynor may have read him like a book. He's gonna have plenty. He has more roaches right now, and he's about to have +1 ranged attack. Oh, Reynor playing him like a fiddle. He baited, I think Serral saw the drone count, set up for the attack, but now +1 is done, and Reynor has more army. The most masterful. Serral just gives it up. Serral already knows. He clicked on those roaches. He saw the numbers. Reynor just... Wow. Reynor just won the poker game there. Game 1 was the knife fight. But games 2 and 3, Reynor had the better hand, or at least he bluffed it. And that was it. That was a masterclass. That was perfect. He showed the drone count. He showed the roach one. He showed the Evo chamber. Serral thought there was a lair on the way, and maybe like a half to 2/3 as many roaches. The fact that he GG'd immediately tells you that. Reynor with a clean sweep over Serral. I don't know how many players in StarCraft history, at least in the last half a decade, can claim that. But he will go on. If you don't want to know, there's about to be spoilers for the top 4 tomorrow. So if you don't want to be spoiled for tomorrow, if you haven't seen all the games, I've cast all the games. The top 4, the upper bracket match will be Clem versus Reynor. The lower bracket match will be Serral versus Hero. So what happened is that Classic was unable to attend. Some sort of scheduling conflict. Classic, probably. I'm not sure if he was guaranteed a spot, but Classic would have been. So Hero got another chance in the lower bracket. What a Hero thing. Of course. Hero somehow slips his way through. But a Serral versus Hero rematch will be the lower bracket. The loser of Clem versus Reynor will face against Serral. And then on to the finals. I predict Clem versus Reynor will be the finals. I think Clem wants this one. Home field advantage for Maestros of the game. The French community is so incredible and passionate, like disproportionately so. So thank you to them. Make sure to check it out live if you got the opportunity. We're going to have that little promotion bit in a moment, but if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership, but I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. We're going to be trying some of these shorter series, shorter videos. Obviously, this was Serral versus Reynor, and I'm still talking as kind of an anti-spoiler at the end of the video, so that way people didn't know that the game was already over at this point, even though it was kind of obvious, let's be honest. I didn't want to put an anti-spoiler game because I feel like that lessens the impact of it, though. But that's enough about that. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy, Devin, Dor, Kate, Mario, and Suit. Thank you to Maestros of the game again. Make sure to check it out, or at least the highlights. And thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill. Jimmy, play the tape. It's not literal tape.